Hello, and thank you for joining us for Voice of the People. I'm Nicholas Quallich, your host, and joining us today are Cameo Skager with the Central Dakota Humane Society and Julie Schirado with Furry Friends Rockin Rescue. We're here to talk about the ongoing issue of animal rescue. Julie, let's start with you. First of all, take us back and tell us how you first got interested in helping animals.
Oh boy. Well, Cameo had probably a big to do in that because when I first started, it was volunteering and helping a little bit out at Central Dakota Humane Society. And I've always brought home animals since I've been a youngster. I made my mother and father miserable any given day or day of the week. And then from there, I heard from a girlfriend that they're euthanizing at our impound on a regular basis. And so I started volunteering up there. And after I weeded through all my family, my friends, my coworkers to help me with animals, we said, well, we better start something on our own. And most days I went, what was I thinking?
Now, Furry Friends
Yeah.
was founded back in 2015, if I'm correct, yes?
Yeah, I think that's when we got our official
Okay.
501c3. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Cameo, Central Dakota Humane Society is what it's known by now today, but it actually started back in 1960 under a different name, correct?
Right. So there was a group of concerned individuals back in 1960, and all they had then was an office, and they had a lady that answered the phone, and she would take calls of people who wanted to relinquish animals and then take calls of people who wanted animals, and she was a matchmaker. So that's how that all started. We actually got a building here on property in 1994, and I've been involved since 1995. I was a volunteer for about 25 years. And then I'm currently now an employee of the shelter.
And where did your passion for animals come from?
I mean, I grew up with horses and dogs and cats as a kid, so I always loved animals. And just when I started volunteering here in the beginning, I was cleaning cat litter and cleaning up and helping feed cats and things. So it's just like it filled my heart up to help animals. You know, they appreciate you in a way that humans just don't. There's no judgment from them. Their emotions are their emotions, and they're generally very loving, and it just fills you up to be a part of it.
Now, I'll stick with you here, Cameo, because you know you've been working there for quite a while now. We've heard from Julie quite a bit. We've heard from you. I've talked to you. I've talked to Sue Buckles, who's also at Central Dakota. What is the current animal rescue situation? Let's start with Central Dakota.
Right. So it's unbelievable, right, that we still have so many animals in need that are stray, they're abandoned, they're neglected. We were finding them injured. It's just crazy. I mean, I don't know what the reasons are, but in maybe social media has something to do with that because we hear about them. I think maybe and I want to call them the old days. I'm dating myself a little bit, but I think back in the old days, we didn't have social media, so we heard word of mouth or by telephone call, you know, about an animal that was stray in a certain area or somebody that needed help. Nowadays, you have social media. Everyone's talking about all the animals that are in need, and everyone's also talking about all the animals they want to get rid of. And this one just tears me up, makes me sad, makes me angry that there are so many people right now that are trying to rehome animals through the internet. And I get it. We're completely full. I suspect Julie will say the same, that they're overly full. There's no other way to rehome animals if you can no longer keep them. But there's a whole education piece that we wish we could, you know, engage more people with about don't get an animal if you're not fully prepared to deal with the time you need and the money that you need to have a pet.
Julie?
Yeah, Cameo nailed it. Yesterday I was called about 20 to 25 cats in an abandoned house that's been boarded up. The day before it was, we know this person, they dumped their dog. They asked us for help a week ago. Well, we're more than a week out to help people. We're like 2 to 4 weeks out to help people now that reach out via text, email, Facebook, whatever it might be. So nothing's easy anymore. You know, we bounce from impound to impound in Western North Dakota before they euthanized. We've got 4 or 5 reservations that we help with in this state. And then the people that get that cute little puppy, and 8 months later, it's the 8-month dump. It's too action packed for me. It's too and on my coffee table. It needs to go. And we actually have volunteers in place right now that help answer phone calls, cat or dog, and try to go back to what can we help you with in training? What can we help you with if something's urinating outside the cat box? What advice can some of those of us that have been doing this for years help with? And then to help with trainers for dogs. So we're trying to think outside the box. It's just so crazy. But I still feel in my heart that North Dakota needs to do something about the blatant abuse and neglect. And yes, it's a mental health issue. We all know that, but it starts with animals. From animals, it gravitates to children, women, adults, and something needs to be done there. And Central Dakota tried way back in 2012. We're still trying. Furry Friends back in 2019, 2020, it's just so hard in our state. So I don't know what the answer is other than educate, but it's hard.
Is there some sort of a misconception with either Central Dakota or Furry Friends that you both want to clear up as to maybe what you are and what you aren't as an organization?
Oh, I'll start, and then Cameo. I guess I feel like we're both doing the same thing. Yes, we have a building we keep unclaimed cats and dogs in. And yes, Central Dakota has fosters. So I like to think that we both do a lot of the same thing. Cameo and I are at a lot of the same events. So it doesn't matter. Years ago, Sue and Cameo and the girls up there used to call and say, I have a dog that's doing terrible in a shelter setting. Can we trade him out, or can you help us? Well, now everyone is so full, we can't even help when we get a phone call that, hey, this dog doesn't kennel well, it needs to be in a foster home. Well, our fosters are full now. I'm working from home today on my computer, and I've got anywhere from 4 to 8 dogs in my house. And yeah, it's crazy. I can't even explain it, but it really doesn't matter if you're a rescue or a shelter. Rescues are usually foster-based, shelters have buildings, but anymore, I think Cameo will tell you we all do the same thing. We're advocating for animals. Go ahead, Cameo.
Absolutely. Advocating for animals, that's absolutely 100%. Just what Julie said, the trying to educate people, to help them with their problems, to avoid bringing an animal into a shelter. I think one misconception people have about Central Dakota Humane Society is that we're somehow connected to the National Humane Society, HSUS. We're not connected to them. We don't really get funding from them. So we might partake in some of their training and things like that. But other than that, we're a North Dakota grown and born organization. And we're trying to help as many animals as we can. We have limited space here. We do have some fosters, like Julie said, for our neonates and our kittens. But we're just plugging away every day. The phone doesn't stop ringing. We try and answer any behavioral question we can. We refer people to trainers. There are so many trainers in our area right now that if people want to have their dog trained or have help with it, there's no excuse for not pursuing that, to try to keep your dog in your own home, rather than expecting a rescue or a shelter to be able to take over this problem. Now that you claim that your animal's a problem, We aren't here to solve all the problems in the world because we just can't. All the rescues and shelters in North Dakota, frankly, you'll see the same thing. They're all completely full. They're scrambling. They're doing as much as they can. And it's very hard. It's heart-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching work, but it's important. And yeah, we just want to do as much as we can.
I mean, it's not obviously just a North Dakota issue. I mean, the ASPCA says approximately 6.3 million companion animals enter U.S. animal shelters every year. Approximately 3.1 are dogs, 3.2 are cats. What is the most common reason you all hear from some people saying, I can't take care of this dog or cat, or I need some help? What do you think is the number one issue?
I can
I'll-
start on that one, Cameo. With cats, it's lack of spay and neuter. And my cat accidentally got pregnant and I need help with these kittens. With dogs, it's people that get them and don't have time to exercise. A tired dog is a good dog. I don't care who you are or what your dog's going through. And so with dogs, it's purely an energy thing. I feel in my heart that if you're not playing enough, you're not exercising enough. With cats, it's a spay and neuter, and we need to talk about that too, because the lack of vetting in our state is ugly too. Vet prices have skyrocketed in the last couple years. It's hard to get into a vet, and spay and neutering is expensive. I think we're sitting at around 318 animals right now. You do the math on that, and that's on a normal animal, 300 to 500 to vaccinate, to deworm, to spay and neuter. That's not even the tough cases that Central Dakota and Furry Friends takes in that cost thousands. So that's probably our biggest thing, is the lack of spaying and neutering cats, and how fast a cat can multiply. Go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, so I would tend to agree with that. That's something that we also, is big part of our mission, is to try and help with the spaying and neutering and the other reasons people can't keep their animals. We offer $50 coupons to help incentivize people to do that spaying and neutering. I do realize it is a cost, but when you decide to adopt an animal, you have to think critically about whether you can afford the costs that are involved. And that includes all the health things and the food and the training, and whether you can afford the time cost as well. So please make informed decisions. I think a lot of people, maybe nowadays different than in the past, they want instant gratification. They want something right now. So this puppy is so very cute, let's just get a puppy. And then just what Julie said, in about 8 months to a year, that seems to be the timestamp on most of them that we get calls on. I don't have time for this dog. I'm moving and I can't have this dog in my apartment any longer. So please just give critical thought to whether it's the right time in your life to have a pet. But dialing back to the spay and neuter, we do offer the $50 coupons. We hope people who need to take advantage of that, they can call us when they have an appointment. We also have our Buddies Bowl program, where we provide food in several different human aid locations. So if people are struggling a little bit with the cost of having their pet, they can go to one of these locations, pick up some food. So that will help them keep that animal in their house.
And I know, sorry, go ahead, Julie.
Well said. Both organizations take food weekly, if not every other week, to the Dream Center, the Soup Kitchen, whoever asks us, out to Lincoln, the Lincoln Community Club. So we always hope people will ask, because we all know that we go through tough times. We lose a job, we lose a loved one, we can't make it. I'd rather help somebody with food and some vetting than we would take their animal. That's the last thing we want to do, which is ironic, right?
And I know some people don't necessarily like equating having a dog with an actual child, but as you said, Cameo, it requires food. It's not instant gratification. It is almost like, to some extent, raising another child. I mean, like I said, the emotions, things you mentioned, but a lot of money and investment and time and patience too.
It absolutely is. I mean, you have to, we want you to consider when you adopt a pet from us, or, I'm sure Julie says it too. When you adopt, that's a lifetime commitment for that animal. So you're looking at from, 15 to 20 years. A cat can live up to 20 years. So you have to consider that I'm going to take care of this animal. If I move, it's going to move with me. If I have a baby, I'm going to acclimate my pet to my child, or I'm going to teach my child how to deal with that pet, how to behave. And these things are challenging, right? I mean, it's not something that we take lightly. If the animal has a health issue, just like it would be if it was any other loved one in your home, you would figure out a way to get them the services they need, the care they need, and take care of them. We feel it's a lifetime commitment. They're an important part of your family, and they should be treated that way.
Even after somebody turns 18, even after they're out the door of the college, they can still come back home. But that cat is with you or dog is with you,
Yeah.
no matter how long. Would you both agree that this is probably the worst you've seen it?
For
Yeah,
me, yeah, yes.
Okay.
yeah.
So what do you think is one of the exacerbating factors to why it's gotten so bad?
I'm going to go with the mental health issue that every state has, and I look back in the last 6 months at the horrendous abuse right around the Bismarck Mandan area, the suffocations, the beheadings, the whatnot. And, that's where it starts, is with animals. And if we don't address it, we're in trouble. I don't know. I don't know. And then these kids, I say kids, but 19, 20, 21-year-olds that think it's funny to put this stuff on social media yeah, it's just horrendous. I wish we had more answers. We're going to need some legislation down the road. There's going to have to get some help for domestic animals. I don't know what it's going to entail.
I think I have a few things that I think why it's so bad right now. I mean, number one, there's more people in North Dakota than ever before. People are coming here for work. So with more people, there's just more pets in general. I think the economy is having an effect on some people where they, say, I just can't afford this anymore. And I go back to that instant gratification, that thing where I just want it. I just want it. I want to have it, and I'm going to get it. That I'm going to grab a puppy. I'm going to grab a kitten. But then in a year or two, when your life changes, it's just as easy to get rid of it as it was to grab it. Well, that mentality, it seems to permeate society right now in general. And with an animal, just like you said, with a child, you're not going to, oh, I'm going to have a baby today, and in 2 years, I don't want it anymore. I mean, we wouldn't do that. So to me, it's the same thing with pets. You have to commit. You have to be in it for the long haul. Yeah, those are kind of my reasons, I think, why things are so bad.
And I feel with the onslaught of animals, even our organization, when we're educating someone, I feel in my heart sometimes I'm not hard enough on people because there's such an onslaught. I mean, I remember 10 years ago, Cameo, when people were dying to get puppies. Like, we couldn't come up with puppies fast enough. Now I cringe and I bawl when I see them frozen to the ground because we can't get to them fast enough. I see no vetting in these small towns, and people have to come to the large towns to get vet help. It's so crazy how things have changed. And now I don't want anyone's puppies. It's like, it's so crazy. I don't even know where to go with it some days. Yeah.
So, we've talked to you both in the past about this situation and others, but what keeps both of you going to continue to do this?
Are we crazy?
I would say helpful, if anything, if nothing else.
Yeah, I don't know, Cameo. you know, the few I try to get up every morning and go, what can I do to make a difference today? And I always feel like I have a little more control over helping someone with an animal than a very sick child or cancer, or, you know, I'm passionate about all of it, but I feel like I have a little bit more control, even though I've lost it. But I go to bed at night and go, wow, I took in a dog or a cat, or we helped to birth something in my garage and then get it to somewhere safe. And so that I go to bed at night and go, in my own heart, I feel so much better. It's therapeutic to me.
Sure.
But you're right, we cry a lot at Furry Friends. We really do, because every week we're dealing with euthanizing something or helping something cross the rainbow bridge because somebody chose not to help them. So, but you know, you go home at the end of the day and yeah, it's like the mafia. You just can't get out, right, Cameo?
I think that's exactly what Sue says. Once you're in, you're not getting out. But you know, it's an emotional job for sure. And there's very high highs and there's very low lows. But you have to keep, you know, just kind of keep it moderate and keep pushing forward, knowing that you're helping. And a lot of people will ask us, like, why should I donate or why should I give or volunteer my time at a place where you're helping animals when there's so many people in need? And I truly get that. But honestly, every pet that we help is connected to a human. It's either the human who we help because we can take their surrendered pet. It's the human who adopts that pet into their home and it changes their life, right? So we see all the great adoption stories where people have adopted their animals. Their lives are different. They're happy. They provide joy. They provide exercise. They have health benefits to having a pet. So there's a human touch all the time. You know, we're helping humans in every way as much as we're helping pets. And you know, kind of go back to why I got involved in the first place.
Sure.
There's something about helping the animals that fills up your cup and fills up your soul with the good feeling and the look on their face when you help them, and you can feel the love that they give. There's just nothing like it, in my opinion. And so it keeps me coming back every day.
Coming down to the wire on time here, ladies, but I want to ask you, the next legislative session will be here before you know it. Any plans on trying to get some sort of a bill on that as far as protecting animal rights?
We need help. Help.
Well, I mean, there was a bill passed in 2013
Sure.
that we were deeply involved with that spells out what neglect is, what abuse, what abandonment is. But we need those laws that are in place to be prosecuted and punished. If people aren't going to be punished for the acts, like Julie was talking about, the extremely cruel acts we've seen in the last year, if those are going to get swept under the rug, what is the hope for there being, you know, more aggressive legislation? Let's get the bill or the law that's in place right now. Let's get it and let's use it.
Sure.
I couldn't have said that better myself. She nailed it. We work with our Bismarck and Mandan PD every week, if not county sheriffs. And these detectives and the police departments go above and beyond, putting cases together for extreme abuse, extreme neglect. We've taken animals, dogs in so emaciated you could count every bone on them, but yet they've got the best case laid out. It gets in front of a judge and someone gets their hand slapped. And I'm not going to say names. I'd like to. I mean, even I just feel sometimes that we do more justice crucifying somebody in social media than we do on our own. If I had a child or a niece or nephew and I knew they were beheading or suffocating or starving an animal, I can't imagine how I jump in and try to help that mental state of that person. But we do no good by a hand slap and letting it go. And Cameo's right. Those laws were passed. Now we need some help directing and getting it handled. So She's right.
Cameo, final thoughts?
I mean, I don't know, get out there, help your rescue, help your shelter. We all need volunteers. We need, I know Julie needs fosters desperately. Volunteer, donate, adopt, do whatever you can to help. There's always something you can do. There's always a way to help.
Julie?
Yeah, people forget too. I hear this every week. It's too sad to go to your quarantine building. It's too sad. Well, guess what? I've got retired people at home right now on computers. I've got retired people at home writing thank yous right now. I've got retired people that want to come shoot pictures and people that work during the day, that take breaks or are allowed to take breaks to volunteer like I'm doing right now. So there's always things you can do. Computer writing, it doesn't have to be the sad thing of I'm going into a building to see hurt animals. People transport to vet appointments for us both. We need help with drivers. You name it. We can find places to put you with where your passion lies if the sadness of being in a building is too great. So ask either one of us.
Okay, well, this is obviously not just a one-pronged issue. This is a multi-layer issue. And, I'll speak just for myself, but I know I can speak for many others. Thanks for all you do, ladies. I know it's a continuing crisis, but hopefully people will watch this podcast and they'll heed your advice and your experience and your wisdom and hopefully make a big of a difference and change as possible. So I want to thank our guests, Cameo Skager and Julie Schirado, two great animal advocates here in North Dakota. And I'm sure, like I said, you'll get as much help as you need from some of our generous viewers out there. That's going to wrap it up. Yep, that's going to wrap it up for this week for Voice of the People. I'm Nicholas Quallich. We'll be back next week with more questions and answers affecting you. Because remember, it's your voice that counts. The voice of the people.